A new report details Instagram and their relationship with a vast network of problematic people. Apparently, Meta, the social media company, has been covering some of this stuff up, trying to investigate it, trying to remove it. But the Wall Street Journal just came out revealing that a vast network of people are still being connected on the platform. Written by Jeff Horowitz, they tell us that Instagram, the popular social media site owned by Meta, helps connect and even promote a vast network of accounts that are openly devoted to the commission and to the purchase of underage things. This investigation came from the Wall Street Journal and researchers at Stanford, along with the University of Massachusetts Amherst. We don't hear a whole lot about this stuff. We know that people are screaming at Elon and trying to throw him out of the EU and trying to wreck his company and bankrupt him because of free speech and white supremacy or whatever they claim is on there. Meanwhile, we have entire platforms that are apparently even promoting this stuff. And when I think back to other stories like the allegations about a pizza parlor and different stories, I do recall seeing posts on Instagram. People were sharing these posts about people posting the pizza emojis and posting weird other emojis in the context of stories that weren't really about the story that we were talking about. You can tell these people were talking about other things. We all were wondering, what is this? Is this all conspiracy? Turns out maybe not. These people have long used the internet, but unlike other forums and file transfer services that cater to people that have interest in illicit content, Instagram doesn't merely host these activities. Its algorithms promote them. Instagram connects P-files and guides them to content sellers via a recommendations system that excel at linking those who share niche interest. The journal and academic researchers found, though out of sight for most people on the platform, these accounts on Instagram are brazen about their interests. Researchers have found that Instagram enabled people to search for explicit hashtags like PW, like pre-things, and connected them to accounts that use the term to advertise CSAM material for sale. Such accounts often claim to be run by the kids themselves and use overt handles and terrible phrases. Instagram accounts offering to sell this material, they generally don't publish it openly, but instead they post different menus of content. Certain accounts invite buyers to commission specific acts. Some menus include prices for videos of children and other imagery. This is coming from researchers at Stanford Internet Observatory. At the right price, children are available for in-person meetups on the platform. The promotion of underage content violates the rules established by Meta and, federal law. They don't play around with that stuff. Solicitation of somebody underage, big problem, as it should be. In response to questions from the journal, Meta acknowledged problems within its enforcement operations and said it had an internal task force to address these issues. Said, obviously, it's a horrific thing. We're continually investigating ways to actively defend against this behavior. Meta said it has, in the past 2 years, taken down 27 networks and is planning more removals. Since receiving questions from us, Facebook said it has blocked thousands of hashtags, some with millions of posts, restricted recommendation systems known by users to search for terms. Also said it's openly working on preventing systems from recommending that adults connect with one another or interact with one another's content. This person named Alex Stamos, he runs the head of the Internet Observatory from Stanford. He said that getting this even under control is going to take a sustained effort. There's a team of 3 academics with limited access that they could find such a huge network should set off alarms at Meta. He said the company has far more effective tools to map its network than outsiders do, but we found it and they didn't. I hope they reinvest back in human investigators. No, they're too busy focusing on people who might deny some science about the pandemic or who have questions about the election or deny anything that the government tells us is true. They will shadow ban, if not outright ban you. Our Facebook page is basically dead because we post content that is harmful to other people. Meanwhile, this type of stuff is basically out in full public operation, and researchers can find networks that Facebook just allows to exist. Technical and legal hurdles make determining the scale of the network hard for anyone outside Facebook to measure. But because laws around this are extremely broad, investigating even the open promotion of it is legally sensitive. Exactly. You know, you don't even want to go looking for this stuff. So how do you even investigate it? Nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants to be involved in it. And so there is a difficulty for investigators, journalists like this, to go and actually get into the problem lest they become criminals for seeking the content. So Facebook has the prime directive, the prime motive to get rid of it. The journal consulted with academic experts on online child safety. They approached others who evaluated how they fit into larger ecosystems. Test accounts set up by researchers that viewed a single account in the network were immediately hit with suggested for you recommendations of buyers and sellers linking to off-platform trading sites. Following just one of these accounts was enough to flood the test account with content that is bad. Internet Observatory also used hashtags to find sellers of the content and the material, various accounts having almost 22,000 unique followers. Now, this is part of a larger ecosystem devoted to content. Other accounts in the community also aggregate this type of stuff. They've removed something like 490,000 accounts. So you know how the FBI and all of the government officials, they're always screaming at people on the right, saying, you're conspiracy theorists, for saying that there is a massive network of a cabal of people who are engaged in some very nefarious stuff. People like Jeffrey Epstein and all of the other people who flied around to his island. He's just one symbol of what is clearly a much bigger, much more pervasive problem, where people are not even utilizing the full efforts of their platforms to remove the content because they're focused on other things. Stanford finds it and others do. They say Instagram is an on-ramp to places on the internet. Instagram has more than 1.3 billion users, especially popular with teens, and there's a bunch of people wanting to exploit them on this platform. The most important platform for these networks is Instagram. But I don't hear the government screaming about Instagram. They're all screaming about Twitter. The efforts to fight the spread has been ongoing. Internet company algorithms seek to remove some of these things, and they can't identify these things using AI and stuff and just remove them. Meta's automated screening can't detect new images or efforts to advertise their sale. Preventing and detecting these activities requires not just reviewing user reports, but actually tracking and disrupting the networks. So the goal is to make it more difficult for them to find it. Law enforcement agencies lack resources to investigate more than a tiny fraction of the tips. I know, they spent all their money on January 6th, didn't they? That means these platforms have primary responsibility from preventing this. Meta has struggled with these efforts more than other platforms because of weak enforcement and design features. Stanford team found 128 accounts. Among other platforms, Snapchat is also used. Twitter didn't respond to comment, and you can see this story just continues on and on. Very brazen activities. Here we go. Look at this. Oh my gosh, it's true. The accounts on Instagram, they mix brazenness with superficial efforts to veil their activity. Certain emojis function as a kind of code, such as an image of a map, which is a shorthand for minor attracted person, or one of cheese pizza, there it is, which shares its initials with CP. All of the pizza emojis. I remember seeing those. Many declare themselves lovers of the little things in life. Oh, these disgusting people. Accounts identify themselves as sellers. Many of them state preferred forms of payments. These sellers often talk about saying on chapter 14, talking about different ages with reverse emojis and reverse arrows. Some users are faceless on the accounts, and it's just a whole different world of horror. There's a collection of other incest memes, and it is a very burgeoning portion of the internet. Meta spokesman acknowledged that Meta had received the reports and failed to act on them. A review of how the company handles reports. Oh, a review of how the company handled the reports of CSAM. They found that a software glitch was preventing a substantial portion of user reports from being processed. Facebook. The company's moderation staff wasn't properly enforcing the rules, but the company has fixed the bug in its reporting system, and it's giving new training to content moderators. So if you saw some very horrific stuff on Facebook, you would just basically report it it, and they would just put it right into the trash bin. Sorry, not doing anything about it. Even when Instagram does take down accounts, they don't always stay gone. Instagram allows users to run multiple linked accounts. So if you spread election misinformation, right, you'll have the DOJ come out because you posted illegal memes and track you down, out you, and prosecute you. But all of this stuff just exists. Instagram's AI-driven hashtag suggestions also don't get the message, bubbling up references to horrific things. A Meta spokesman said its systems prevent the recommendations, and that to prevent recommendations are currently being built. Said there are extreme harms to children. By allowing these networks to continue, it encourages the continued creation of the content to satisfy the needs of the network. So Facebook and Meta and Instagram, they would rather focus on people who a little bit hateful, maybe a little bit, using the wrong pronouns, somebody who's a threat to the safety of other users on Facebook. Meanwhile, there are open rings and open networks operating, it seems like, in full view of the world with not much being done.